Arizona, Idaho, and Utah held their presidential primaries and caucuses, and a large voting bloc in that region is Native Americans. Over 25% of Arizona's land is an American Indian reservation, and Native Americans make up one of the largest minority groups in the state, second only to Latinos. The community has a history of voting as a group, so you can see why the competition to win their support is crucial. We're going to talk now to John Boyd. He's with Boyd Consulting, and that company has provided counsel to a number of tribes over the past 5 decades in and out of Arizona. Welcome to the program, John.
Thank you for having me.
So, what are some key issues for Native Americans?
Well, the traditional issues that Native American voters tend to be concerned with are increased access to health care, primarily mental health services, to deal with addiction, which is a big problem. There's a heroin epidemic throughout the country, and it's especially a problem on Native American reservations. Of course, alcoholism tends to be another issue. So the idea, the focus of treatment versus mass incarceration is a major theme that the candidates really talked about in their campaigning in Arizona to Native American voters. Also, workforce training programs are another area that Native Americans are very, very concerned with today.
What have been the candidates' messages and overall strategy toward that community?
Well, we saw Bernie Sanders, really the first presidential candidate since 1999, address the Twin Rivers Reservation. That's the largest Navajo reservation in the country. And he talked about these issues of expanding healthcare, about stopping mass incarceration. What's interesting is Hillary Clinton, who has a very long history with Native American issues, dating back to the 70s with her work with her legal nonprofit, and of course her deep relationships with Native American voters throughout her husband's presidency. Of course, Peterson Za, the former president of Navajo Nation, endorsed Hillary Clinton. And Hillary is very savvy. I mean, Hillary talks about issues like federal procurement and increasing mandates for the government to buy goods and services from Native Americans, and creating new incentives to promote the corporate supplier diversity program.
Now, are there one of these candidates striking a chord with Native Americans? Are they choosing one over the other?
Right. We saw Hillary Clinton convincingly win the Native American vote, I think because of her long ties, because of her stature with Native American voters. But again, it's a very key voting bloc, despite being only 5% of the population. The Indians tend to vote as a bloc. Many analysts look at Janet Napolitano's victory in 2003 and her reelection in 2007, and they credit the Native American vote as putting her over the top.
You know, in 2014, Native Americans actually came out to vote in favor of Republicans, 52 to 43%.
Right.
But this year we do see more Democrats trying to appeal to them. Why do you think that's so?
You know, that's a great point. Doug Ducey is the new Republican pro-business, economic development-minded governor of Arizona, and he's been very proactive in targeting the Native American vote. And he just unleashed a new program to bring workforce development, job training skills to Indian reservations, particularly STEM skills, okay, science, technology, engineering, and math. So I think both parties realize that's a key voting bloc, and there's enormous economic potential for Native Americans to contribute. They have land, a lot of priority when it comes to water rights. Okay, there's unprecedented drought conditions in the Southwest that we've seen over the past decade. Reservations have priority with water rights. So for industries that are water intensive, there's no reason that tribes can't do better in attracting that type of industry. We just had a project a couple of years ago, in fact, for PepsiCo, for Dr. Pepper, was going to do a bottling facility in Fort Mojave. And ultimately, some of the job training, lack of skill sets nixed that program. But we see tremendous potential on the horizon. You look at tribes in Washington State like the Colville tribe, which is doing a lot of exciting things with biomass, and the Winnebago tribe in Omaha, which is a leading tribe with federal procurement. And we just had the Arizona primary, the Wisconsin primary is coming up, and the Oneida tribe, which is one of the nation's largest healthcare providers for this supplier diversity program. That's one of the leading tribes. So there are a number of tribes that are doing very well right now.
And they're quite a unique group, I'll have to say. I mean, they stand out definitely from other minority groups. But like as you said, they're a small percentage. Will they make a difference ultimately in the votes?
I think so. I think it's a voting bloc. They tend to vote very consistently. There's been a number of races in states like Montana and Arizona where a lot of political pundits have looked at the Indian vote and said, "Look, this is a real important swing vote for us to attract."
In 1994, Bill Clinton held an unprecedented meeting with more than 300 American Indian leaders. Do you think that played a role in Clinton's win in Arizona?
It did. It really solidified her stature in that community. She has long-lasting ties. I mentioned Peterson Za. He's one of the most influential Native American leaders in the Southwest. The Navajos, of course, are the largest tribe in the country. And he was very supportive of Hillary. And those relationships matter. I mean, those decades-long work on these issues and bring discussion, above and beyond healthcare and mass incarceration and job training, and bring discussion about, again, federal procurement and increasing incentives for the corporate supplier diversity program. These are issues Hillary is very savvy to talk about. And of course, Native Americans, despite being only 5% of the population in Arizona, they wield tremendous clout in the state house because of their enormous wealth related to their gambling interests and casino interests.
That's another good point. John Boyd, it was a pleasure having you on with us today. Let's check
Thank
back
you.
in with Mark.